Hey, Julie.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. How was your week?
Um, uh, we are having volleyball matches these days.
Oh, okay, that's exciting. And are you participating in that?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Um, how how is your team doing so far?
Mm, we um we have played with class 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 1 and 4, and
Okay.
we won
Okay.
both of
Good.
the
All right. Good. When's your next match? When's your next game?
about next Monday.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, good luck. I hope you do well. When's
Thank
when's
you.
the you're welcome. When's the final match? If you win, if you win on Monday, do you play more or is that the final?
Uh, the 3 matches uh uh is played by team A and B. And
Okay.
after the 3 matches, uh, the 4 classes team C will have a match.
Okay. Is that all next week or is that going to be over the next several weeks?
Probably next week.
All next week, probably. Okay. All right. Well, like I said, good luck with all that. I hope you guys do well. Hope you win. Hope you guys take it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anything else going on? Other than that, how is school going? How are your classes going?
Uh, Nothing special.
Okay. All right. Nothing special. No projects or big exams coming up.
Um, we've had the history weekly test
Okay.
yesterday, and the phys- physics weekly test today.
Okay. And how did you do on those, you think? Okay.
Uh, I think okay.
Okay. All right, good. I mean, most half the time, if you feel pretty good about the test, after you take it, um, I mean, most of the time you do, you might be off by a couple of points or something like that, but usually, when you do, okay or pretty good on a test. You may not know your exact score, but it's not like after you take a test and you didn't know anything on the exam, but if you felt like, okay, yeah, I think I did pretty good, then usually you do. Yeah. Okay. All right, well, good. I'm glad to hear that. But I'm excited for you to win that volleyball match. Because I think sports are really important, playing,
Yeah.
competitively and stuff. They just are. It's good for you, and it's really good exercise. Okay. Um, let's go ahead and continue then with where we kind of left off last week. We stopped off on Blackbeard. He was a famous pirate back in the day, and so they're talking about Blackbeard's cannons. And you know what a cannon is, right? You've seen the picture here. It's the device. It's like a big gun that they use on their ships. Okay, we don't have the listening, so we're not, where it says while you watch, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna kind of skip that. Let's see where it says after you watch, we're not gonna do that. Well, let's see. What, I wonder if we can do any of this. There's no verbiage though to go with that, so you can't listen to anything. So no, I guess we're gonna just kind of skip this part. Let's go. Let me ask you if you know who this is. We'll start here. Do you have any idea from this picture? And I don't know how much history, U.S. history, you get in China, but she's kind of known or famous worldwide in history. Any idea who she is? Just
I don't know, because our history is from grade 7 to grade 8, 2 years, and we have 6 books.
Okay. And you don't so you don't have history. Well, I'm sure you're gonna
we first learned the 4 books of Chinese history, and then learned the 2 books of worldwide.
World history, right?
World history, yeah. And we've just begun the world history this week.
Oh, okay. So you'll have
and
you'll have 2 books of
that. Yeah, and we are learning the ancient Egypt, Indian. So
okay.
So I don't know.
You don't know this part yet. Okay. Well, this is actually played pretty good then. Her name was Amelia Earhart. Okay, that's her name. Okay. And as you can see in the title, it says vanished. Meaning what? What does vanished mean? When somebody vanishes, or when something vanishes, what does that mean? Have you ever heard of the word?
Yeah. Disappear.
Yeah. It means just to disappear, and many times when something just vanishes, you don't know. You don't know what happened. You don't know why it happened. You don't know any of the details about it. Nothing. But this has happened in 1931, or shortly after. But that's when, which is, you think about it, that's less than 100 years ago. Of course, air flight is not as great as it is now, of course, but it was definitely possible. But that's exactly that's her name, Amelia Earhart, and she vanished. She was flying. She loved to fly, and there's all different theories about what happened. But she went, and this wasn't like her first flight. She's flown many times before that, and one day she went up to fly and never came back, and no one ever found her. No one ever found her plane. So, so that's why they call it, a mystery. They just don't know whatever happened to her. Okay. So anyway, let's take a look at some of these warm-up questions, and it doesn't have to do with flying. It could be whatever you think of. But go ahead and read question number 1, and just tell me what are your thoughts on that?
what are some of the most dangerous places to visit in the world?
Mm-hmm. Wait, in your opinion,
Uh,
from what you know at this time in your life, what you've heard about, what you've read, what you've seen, maybe.
um, the uh, Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, okay. You think that might be a dangerous place to visit? Yeah. Okay. Um,
Yeah,
and why do you think that? I'm just curious.
because many ships and planes uh, uh, fall fall into the sea at a place, and no one know why.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll tell you something. And uh, there is some, I think, some mystery there. And the reason I say that is my husband was a pilot, okay, in the U.S. Coast Guard in the military. That's why we've moved around so many times in the United States. And he said, because we used to live in North Carolina, and so that was where we were stationed there many years ago. But off the coast of North Carolina, that's kind of where the Bermuda Triangle exists, right? And he said a couple of times, because the job of the U.S. Coast Guard is search and rescue. Okay, that's what their mission is. They're part of the Department of Transportation, but at the time they were part of the military, right? So their job is to help people that are having problems in the ocean, in the sea. Okay. And in order to do that, you also have to have planes to see where that trouble is, right? So you got people in the water and boats going to help them, but people in the sky in the airplanes to look down and see where the trouble is and to call down to the ships to go out and help. So two things: one, to help for search and rescue, and two, to catch the bad people that are doing bad things in the water. Okay, so those are kind of like the two missions. But he said many times when they flew into the Bermuda Triangle over that area, strange things would happen to the aircraft, such as they may lose an engine. The kind of aircraft my husband flew was called a C-130, okay? And a C-130, that's the type of plane, has 4 engines, okay? 2 on each side of underneath the wings, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So, which is good, right? I mean, 4 engines, having 4 engines is better than 1 engine, right? What Amelia, and what Amelia Earhart was flying, she was flying 1. She only had like 1 engine. That was it. But in these big aircrafts, many of them have multiple engines. But he told me a couple of times this happened, and the crew is really quiet. They don't talk to each other when they're going through the Bermuda Triangle. They're praying. So, but a couple of times, they would lose an engine, and there's no reason of why they lost it. I mean, an engine just stopped working. It just stopped working. So now they got 3 engines, 2 on one side working and 1 on the other. So, they just said, and sometimes the lights within the aircraft would falter, would go out, would short, something, just weird things. And they didn't like going through there. And maybe maybe it was a coincidence. Who knows? But I remember him coming home and telling me some of those stories sometimes. So it's, yeah, I think that there could be some truth to that one. Yeah. Bermuda Triangle. Can you think of anything else? Can you think of any other, any kind of other dangerous places?
Mm,
And you don't necessarily have to know their names. Just areas in the world that you think could be dangerous.
mm,
Can you, I mean, anything that you've ever heard or seen or even watched? Maybe you saw something on a movie or
mm,
anything?
mm,
Remember, there's no wrong answer. I'll put it that way. There's no wrong answer. Open your mind, okay? And just think about the entire world, not just your country, not just my country, the entire world. And just think of places that, in your opinion, what you see could be dangerous.
mm.
Can you think of anything?
No.
No? Okay. For me, I think parts of the sea. I think the ocean. I think we have 70% of water surrounding us in our entire world. And that's much more than land. And I think that is a huge mystery. And I think there are dangerous areas in the water that we haven't explored. And henceforth, your Bermuda Triangle. Why does everything go down in that water and nobody can find things? Nobody, I mean, the water, I think it's dangerous. I think some mountains are extremely dangerous, yet people like to hike them because it's a challenge, it's unknown. I mean, you look at even places of in China and India. I mean, there are high peaks out there. To me, that could be very dangerous. What happens if you get lost there? You're going on a hike. People disappear all the time and no one ever finds them because it's just so open. It's so it's so isolated. So I think there's a lot of dangerous places in the world, with the places in Africa, the jungles, where you have wild animals. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't want to go explore any jungle if I didn't know where I was going or what I was doing. I mean, you walk into that forest. There's no trails. There's no sign that says rest stop 5 minutes. There's nothing like that. It's just wilderness, and you've got you against nature, or you against nature being all those wild animals, and you never know. So I think there's a lot of dangerous places in the world. Okay? I don't know particular names of all these places, but I mean, you could just kind of vision this from what you see, in your history books, what you heard about or seen on news or movies that you've watched. Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look at number 2.
Mm. Do you know any famous explorers who visited these places?
You read about I mean, for me, and I don't know much about China, history, because it's like when you go to school, you kind of learn about your own country. That's kind of like the highlights of your education. Like you're learning more about Chinese history than you are world history. For us, we learn more about American history and more so than any other history. We have some world history, but famous explorers where we talked about just one there, maybe being all these pirates. We have like Blackbeard. We have even explorers for the U.S. We talk about Christopher Columbus, Magellan, all different types of explorers. And I think in itself, an explorer, somebody who doesn't know, right? Somebody who's unfamiliar with water and land or whatever, that would be a dangerous, I think that would be a dangerous job, whatever you want to call it, a job, right? Because you don't know what you're going to encounter. And if it's the first time discovering something, you've got to, it is what it is. It may be positive, but it also could be deadly. I don't know. Have you heard of any famous explorers in China? Have you read about those? Have you studied them? Or you don't know, you can't remember?
I can't remember.
Okay. And what about number 3? Any famous people that you've heard of that vanished, went missing, or died mysteriously? Can you?
I don't know.
Can't remember anything. This one for me always stood out because it's not. I mean, I wasn't born during this time, but it's something that we were always taught in history about Amelia Earhart, and a lot of it is because she was a woman, and there weren't many women who flew airplanes. She's like one of the first, right? So for us, you hear men all the time, and I'm trying to think if Chuck Yeager was another one that might have went missing. Maybe not, but he was big in aviation as well. But we heard of, Blackbeard, all these different pirates and stuff like that. But I don't think a lot of people, especially like with the pirates, they're doing bad things. They're holding up other people in the water, stealing things, and that's just a bad profession. And I don't care if you're doing it now or you did it 100 years ago. It's just a bad profession. And when people like that go missing or die or something like that, a lot of people don't really give too much thought about that because they're bad people anyway. But something like this, like with Amelia Earhart, from what I understand, she was a good person. I mean, just that was just that was her passion. She loved flying. So when someone like that, goes missing, disappears, people are sad, and they wonder about it, and they were looking for her. So, but that's one of them. So let's go ahead and take a look. And we see this is Mount Everest, right? Everest, known in Tibetan, the world's highest mountain. These are the highest mountain peaks. And you can even see all these clouds, and they're extending above that. That would, to me, would be scary. that would be a dangerous place to try to climb. Yet,
yeah,
people climb it, every year.
Yeah.
It's something that I don't think I would do. So anyway, let's go ahead and see if you know any of these answers in here at all. We'll just kind of see what you can pick out.
height 8,850 meters.
Okay,
Each year,
that's high.
it rises by another 4 millimeters.
Okay, good job. All right, next one.
First people to reach the summit of Everest, Tenzing Norgay, a Sherpa from
What do you think?
India or Nepal.
Which one do you think? It's one of those. Let me ask you, have you ever heard of Nepal?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know you've heard of India, right? Yeah. Let's remember. Think about Mount Everest.
Nepal.
Nepal, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
And Edmund Hillary from New Zealand in 1953.
Exactly. Good job. Okay, now let's take a look where it says health risk.
Because of the extreme cold.
Cold, right? And sometimes we have to figure out words, especially these gap-filled exercises, by reading ahead. What's the rest of the sentence, right? And so when you see climbers can get frostbite, you know that you would get frostbite if it was cold, not if it was hot. Okay, keep going.
Most equipment most Everest climbers carry: oxygen tanks to help them breathe.
Why do you think that is?
Because for example, I will feel uncomfortable when I am at a place that is over 3,000 meters.
Why?
Because the higher it is, the less it has the oxygen.
Yeah, and what we call that is the air is thinner. There's less oxygen.
Oh yes, thinner, yeah.
Right. So in order to breathe, comfortably, you would have to have that supplement. You'd have to have oxygen to breathe because the air is just too thin. The higher and higher and higher you go. Right? That's why they they pressurize a plane when you go up, right? Yeah. Okay, good job. And then so we need oxygen, and then the next one, the number of deaths.
Number of deaths on Everest, more than 200, mostly due to avalanches.
Avalanches.
Yeah.
And what's an avalanche?
Large amounts of snow falling down the mountain.
Yeah, and what right there, that's dangerous. I mean, so that would be another another dangerous place. We're talking about dangerous places, where things can happen. Just being around mountains, not even climbing them, but during wintertime, many times there are a lot of avalanches, and the power of snow coming down really fast and hard and heavy, and so much of it can easily bury someone. You can't dig out of that. So that avalanches are extremely dangerous. Yeah. Okay. The Mystery of Everest, and it says look and read the title. The first paragraph. What do you think of the reading? Check your predictions, but we'll go ahead and just read. So the Mystery of Everest. That just looks dangerous. I look at that picture and I think, how does anyone climb that? You see snow, and there's ice, and these sharp, jagged edges. I mean, and on top of it off, extremely cold. I mean, how do you survive that? Okay, let's go ahead and read.
Were Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay really the first people to reach the top of Mount Everest? Some believe British climbers George Mallory and
that's Andrew
Irvine. Andrew Irvine reached the summit before them in June 1924. Unfortunately, this is hard to prove because those men vanished on the mountain, or in the snow. In 1999, a team of climbers visited Everest hoping to solve this mystery. Near Everest's first step, on the way to the summit, the team found Mallory's oxygen tank, evidence that he and Irvine were near the top. Close by, a member of the team, Conrad Anker, discovered Mallory's body. In addition, when the team examined Mallory's body, they found items like a knife and matches, but no photos. Why it is significant? Mallory carried a photo of his wife with him. He planned to leave it at the top of Everest if he reached the summit.
Oh, interesting, huh? I thought that's very interesting. Okay.
First, the top. Did Mallory and Irvine achieve their goal and reach the top? Probably not, says Anchor. Here's why. Difficult path for equipment. Mallory and Irvine were last seen near Everest's second step. This is a 27-meter, 90-foot wall of rock. Climbing this section of Everest is extremely difficult. Even with modern climbing equipment, without the right tools, it is doubtful Mallory and Irvine were able to proceed to the top. No frostbite. Mallory and Irvine were near the summit late in the day. Climbers who reach the summit at this time need to camp at the top. If you do this, it is common to suffer from frostbite. But Mallory's body had no sign of frostbite. So, what happened to Mallory and Irvine? Anchor thinks they probably turned back just after the first step. When Mallory was going down, perhaps he accidentally fell. Irvine's body has never been found. Whatever happened, they will always be remembered as early Everest heroes.
Okay. So they never found the other body. They found Mallory's body, but they never found the other. And they knew they were together. So once again, you just don't know what's going to happen in nature like that. I mean, I don't know. So that we see that photograph, kind of old of Mallory in 1909. Okay. And it says the frozen remains were discovered in 1999. So that was him. That's a picture of him, almost
Oh.
decayed. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Let's take a look at some of those questions. Go ahead and read number 1.
The reading is mainly about 2 climbers who vanished on Everest.
Okay, good. And number 2.
Which statement is true? Anchor's team found some of Mallory's items on the mountain.
Items.
Items.
Okay.
The purpose of the second and third paragraphs is to give reason why.
The purpose of the second and third paragraphs. So, do you have this in your book? It looks like that's on page 163. If it's the same, I don't know.
Yes.
Okay. So look at paragraphs 2 and 3. So starting with a body in the snow, and the question says, it looks like a little cut off there, but the purpose of the second and third paragraph is to give reasons why
Mallory probably didn't reach the top.
Okay. And then number 4.
In line 15, what does it refer to?
What is it?
I didn't find it.
On line 15.
Line 15.
He planned to leave it at the top of Everest.
My book
Doesn't have that.
Is he had planned to leave the photo.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, and that would be it. He planned to leave it. What was the it? The it was a picture, and the picture was his wife, right? He was planning. He wasn't going to leave. Well, the oxygen tank. Yeah. It's the picture, right? The picture. Okay. Number 5.
Where were Mallory and Irvine last seen. Just below the first step.
I think it's the second step. Take a look at on number, yeah, they were numbered on line 20. Mallory and Irvine were last seen near Everest's second step.
Oh.
Yeah. They didn't make it to that first step. And then remember, they were saying that they thought that people, if made it to the top of the summit, so that would be past the first step, they would also have frostbite because they had there's no signs and no evidence of that. So they didn't reach to the very top yet. Okay, how about number 6?
If Mallory and Irvine turn back, they stopped and went down.
Exactly. And number 7.
Which statement would Conrad Anchor probably agree with? Mallory and Irvine got close but didn't reach the top.
Exactly. And take a look at that picture. This is what they said that Mallory had with him. He took this kind of camera. It looked like that. That's an old time camera. But they never found it. And the thing is, I mean, it would be easy not to find, because you think of all that snow, it could easily have been buried, and more snow. I mean, I know the color, but still, and snow is white, but it's just like a little speck compared to what is covered on that mountain. So it would be, and maybe he dropped it. Maybe the camera was dropped and it went down, really far. It wasn't, close to his body, but that would be easily understood why they couldn't find it. But, okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this where it says arguing for and against a topic. Go ahead and read about
that. Writers sometimes present two sides of an argument, giving reasons for and against an idea. Sometimes they list all reasons for first, followed by the reasons against. To introduce the reasons, writers may use phrases such as "one reason is," "in addition." To evaluate a writer's arguments, it can be useful to list the reasons for and against in 2 columns, like in a T-chart.
Okay, so taking a look at, first let me ask you this, Julie, have you ever had to write an argumentative type of paper in school?
No, but I heard that we will begin to write this kind of since senior high school.
Oh, okay. So not until senior high school. Yeah, this is another. I mean, there's all different types of writing styles, and they all have their purpose. And this is one of them. This is an argumentative type of paper, and it's just pointing both sides out to an argument, a for and against something. Let me ask you this: we can go over these, but I sometimes think real life situations are better for discussion. Can you think of a topic right now in the world about anything where there's two sides for something, a for and against something? Can you think of a topic where people might have disagreements on something? Can you think of any?
Should students take their phones to school?
Oh, okay. That's a good one. And I could already just see reasons for both sides. Yeah. One, for obviously is for any kind of emergencies, or to have contact with, your parents or things like that, or something that's important that needs to be, a message to you. But that's like the only one. That's the only thing I could think of for being positive. Or actually research. If you need to look up something on the internet or something for something that you're working on, or something like that, that could be really useful as well, right? But against too much talking, too much chatting with friends, or going on sites that you don't really need, that are not important, right? So it's you can see both sides. Yeah, that's a good one. I was thinking of the vaccine. I know now in the world, people, of course, we have people that are for the vaccine and people that are against the vaccine, right? And there's supporting arguments on both sides. Yeah. So those are your type of argumentative type of papers. Yeah. Okay. Let's and they'll be interesting. They'll be interesting for you, even when you get to that point, to write about those things, to see the positive or negative to both sides of an issue. It gets you to think. And I think that's the whole point of an argumentative paper, to see both sides. Okay, let's take a look at where it says, did Mallory and Irvine reach the top of Everest? Taking a look at the reasons for and reasons against.
Einstein discovered Mallory's oxygen tank and his body.
Okay.
Their first step.
Okay.
Tim didn't find a picture of Mallory's wife. He planned to leave it at the summit.
Okay, so those are all the reasons for, right? Now let's take a look at reasons against.
Climbing Everest second step is very difficult. Sure. And Mallory and Irvine did not have modern climbing equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
Mallory's body had no signs of frostbite.
Exactly.
It is common for people to suffer from this if they camp
Uh-huh.
near the
Can't reach or
summit for the night.
Yeah. If they camp, right? If they camp near the summit, for the night. Yeah. And usually, I guess it's because that's the highest point, and it's probably the coldest up there. So there's probably no way to avoid uh, getting that frostbite. You can't stay warm enough. Okay. So let's take a look at this last part where it says, "I'm your partner." Based on the evidence and the reading, what we've read, and that's all we know, just from what we've read. Do you think they reached it? Do you think Mallory and Irving reached the top of Everest? Remember, there's no right or wrong answer. This is just everything that you've read. What is your opinion?
I think they didn't reach the top.
Okay. And why do you say that?
Because reaching the top is very difficult, and they didn't have modern climbing equipment.
Okay. Anything else?
And the 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 it is very cold on the Everest, and I don't think they have enough they didn't have enough protection.
Okay. Maybe not enough protection. Okay, only because I'm an optimist, I'll give you my point of view. Because I like the best. And this is what I mean. Think about this, and I have no idea. I'm just throwing things out there, and it's just to get you to think. Okay, and not my view is right. I have no idea. I wasn't there, but I'd like to think that they did make it, and he had a picture of his wife, and he left it up there. They just can't find it. He left, that's why it wasn't on him. And you're right. I don't think they had the right equipment. I think it was really, really cold. So they didn't plan on spending the night up there. Maybe they just wanted to reach the top, and his goal was to leave the picture on top of the mountain. And maybe he lost the camera from that point. Maybe, and that could be maybe on his way down. Maybe they got to the top. Maybe he left the picture and decided not to stay because they wouldn't, maybe they wouldn't survive up there because it was too cold and they didn't have the right equipment. So they turned around and started coming down. And maybe something happened at that point where they found his body. Maybe he got too tired. Maybe he got injured in some way. Who knows? And that's maybe where he fell and he died or whatever. Maybe something happened. But I don't know. I like to think he made it to the top, but that's where he left the picture. They just could never find it. I mean, just like they couldn't find his camera. That would be like finding a needle in a haystack, because you think of the mountain, how much snow there is and how cold it is and things like that. So therefore, that's why you wouldn't find the signs of the frostbite on him, because he never did stay up there. And he just wanted to go up, he just wanted to reach the top to leave the picture of his wife and then turn around and come down. I don't know. But that's my thought. That's my theory. And as far as Irvine, no idea. I mean, obviously they never found his body, so maybe something happened to him where he fell or something, and maybe much further or something like that. Maybe down or fell into a crevasse or something. Like something in between the two mountains or something that's so deep. That's the only thing I could think of as of why they weren't together. Or maybe or maybe Mallory had an injury and he fell, and maybe he died, and Irving had to try to go down by himself, and he died somewhere else along the path. I mean, they obviously weren't together, so one of them took off before the other one to be apart, right? Because if they were hiking together and they just one died, I would imagine the other person's, they're not going to just stay there with the dead body, because they no one's around. They got to get down. They got to take care of themselves. So one of them had, and then the other one had to leave. I don't know. That's just what I thought. I read that. I don't know, but your theory could be right as well. I mean, this is where we have the paper. Now the next one would be more of an argumentative. We have both sides. Another style of writing too is a persuasive paper, where you try to convince and persuade somebody your side, your point of view. So that's another style of writing, which I'm sure you'll get into. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. I thought that was really interesting. It gets you to think, Hey, we'll continue. We'll pick up here next session. But any last minute questions before we go? If you want to read ahead, feel free to do so. I think a lot of these topics are interesting. Yeah. Any questions, Phil?
No.
Yeah. Do you like this story? Do you like this one? Yeah. I mean, this kind of stuff is very interesting, and because I don't know, it's not. I don't really like war and things like that. I mean, that's history as well, but a lot of that kind of history, it's not my cup of tea. But this kind of stuff I think is very interesting about history. Yeah. So, okay. Anyway, we'll come back here next week, and hey, good luck on your volleyball match. I hope you win. Thank you. Yeah, play hard, play your heart out, and hopefully you guys will have the victory. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Study hard, and I will see you next week. Okay, and we'll pick up.
Okay.
All right. Good job today. Bye, Julie.
Bye.
Bye.